Alrighty, I don't think anybody's jumped on here yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and get started and tell you guys what's up for this week. So I hope you're having a good week so far. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. Okay. Hey, Andrew, we're just getting started here. Give me 1 second. There we go. Okay. So I hope to keep things short this week. I just kind of want to go over the assignments that we've got going on. And if you do have any questions or anything at the end, feel free to ask those, but hopefully this should sum everything up. So we are on module 2 this week. We are going to be going over our elements of design, or our elements of art, as you could call them as well. This is pretty much like our foundation for like the rest of the content that we'll go over for the rest of the semester. So it's really important to make sure that you're paying attention to these lessons and these modules, and that you're also focusing a lot on the vocabulary. In future assignments and writings and things, I'll ask you to reference back to this module for vocabulary terms, and just to, I'll ask you, in this paper, use 3 elements of design to talk about the artwork. That'll be something that you see a lot. So I would definitely focus in on the terms for this week. It's a little bit extensive, but I tried not to have too many other additional videos that go along with these terminology modules that we've got, just because they are pretty dense. So with that said, I want to take a look at what our module description says for this week, and just sort of what that looks like. So we've got, let's see here, lesson 3. So I've got the lessons broken down into, so the overhead, like the umbrella of this week, is going to be the elements of art, but our lessons are broken down into kind of like smaller sections of them so that it's not so overwhelming at once. Lesson 3 goes over the element of line and different types of line, how line is used in artwork and why it's important. Lesson 4 is going over shape and space and mass/form as well. Just our natural kind of like progression from the line. And then lesson 5 is talking about light, color, and texture. So that's kind of what those are going, the breakdown of those are going to be. I'm not going to go into too much depth on that. You can kind of assume what those are going to look like. But then I want to take a look at what is due for this week. So although module 2 is like, we're starting on it on this week, we're not going to complete everything that's in this module for this week. A lot of the time with these denser modules, I'll break it down into we'll spend 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks on one module. It's not like one module per week. So you'll notice that we only have 8 modules total. So that's, our class is 16 weeks long. So those are reduced, and, we spend a little bit more time than a week on some of these modules. So module 2, week 1 of this, so where we're at right now, the only things that we have due this week are to complete the ed puzzles, and those are due on Sunday, the 29th at 11:59. And then we also have our line drawing discussion that is due on the 29th. So you do not need to take quiz 2. You don't need to do the lesson 5 color assignment discussion, and you do not need to start on the art analysis outline. All of those are going to be for next week, so you do not need to work on those until then. I will talk a bit about the art analysis outline today, just to kind of give you like a heads up on it, and if you want to start thinking about it. But you've got a couple weeks to really get together on that, so don't worry too much. The only thing that I want you to turn in for this week is the lesson 3 line drawing discussion, and all of the ed puzzles for this week will be due. So if you're looking for module 2 quiz, or if you're looking for the lesson 5 color assignment, you're not going to find them. They're not going to be available yet. So let's talk about the line drawing discussion first, and kind of just go over what that's going to look like. So the way that the discussions are it's a lot of changes have happened this semester with Blackboard. As you probably noticed, our ed puzzles weren't available first thing this morning, because I have to reconfigure the links for them every time now. I didn't realize I had to do that, but yeah, so the ed puzzle videos, they are available now. I just didn't realize that you guys couldn't see them. So don't worry about that. But with the discussion, if you just jump over here to the left on the navigation side, click on discussion boards, and you will see that our instructions for that are right here. So obviously, once you go over the Ed puzzle for line in lesson 3, this will make a little bit more sense to you. But you can do this regardless if you've watched the lesson or not. But it might be a little bit more helpful for you if you've already watched the lesson. So lesson 3 explores different varieties and qualities of line. Let's see if I can click on this to make it bigger. I'll just edit it. Let's look at it. Maybe. Okay. Lesson 3 explores different varieties and qualities of line, implied line, psychic, and gesture, for example. This assignment investigates the expressive qualities of line in the work of art, Sola Witt. So Sola Witt is an artist who, he was actually an architect first, really interesting guy, but he was also really interested in conceptual art as well as architecture, which tends to be a bit more linear. No pun intended with the line talk this week. But we look at Sola Witt's work in a really interesting way. So, for example, the Beckler Museum in Charlotte, they have one of Sola Witt's pieces. However, the piece itself was created by the gallery. Sola Witt didn't actually paint this piece here. So you can see it here. It's like this mural on the wall there of the Beckler. And because he's an architect and he's someone who is really big on like instructions, so, you know, making a blueprint for something, or making, you know, put this beam here, put this, you know, piece here, this, he decided to do that with his conceptual artwork as well. And so what that would look like would be he would give or sell really instructions to different galleries, and then the gallerist or gallery artist, gallery curators, you know, whatever they might be, would interpret his instructions and create the drawing based on the instructions. So there's not one way that this is supposed to look or turn out, depending on how you interpret the instructions. You might get, I mean, someone might get, you know, the instructions, and then 10 more people are passed the same instructions, and there's 10 different drawings that come out of it. It just all depends on how you interpret them. So this is one interpretation of them. If we click on here, hopefully this will let me do this. I'm not sure why it's being weird today. I'll look back on that whenever we finish with the instructions. We can look at a few more of his pieces, but this is the one in the Beckler. So the instructions for this assignment that you're going to do that's based on this artist Sola Witt, first you're going to need to review lesson 3. And then this is an actual, like, you are creating a piece of artwork. And I don't think I mentioned this in like previous videos before, but this is a good opportunity for us to talk about some activities that we'll have that do require you to like make drawings or make something. It obviously is whatever you have available to you is perfectly fine. Really, all of the assignments that I have laid out for you, as long as you have paper and pencil, and like crayons or like colored pencils, something like that, you should be able to complete all of these. But really, as long as you have paper and pencil, if you have literally nothing else, you should be able to do these assignments. As long as you have good craftsmanship, I'm not going to care what it's made with. So for this assignment, you're going to need to collect your supplies. You don't need to buy anything additionally from what you already have. You can use something as simple as an ink pen and paper, or colored markers, colored pencils, or even crayons. It doesn't matter. And then you will need a pencil and 1 sheet of white paper. 8.5 by 11 is fine. Though you can go larger if you'd like to, but I wouldn't recommend going any smaller than this. The paper can be plain, gridded, or lined, but again, I would recommend for this assignment specifically, if you just have a piece of like copy paper from a printer, that's what I would use for this. It'll be the easiest to kind of like see, and when you photograph it, it'll look the best. You also will need a ruler or a straight edge. If you just have like a book or another piece of paper, you can use that for a straight edge as well. And then you'll need to follow the instructions. So I've created some instructions for you the way that Solowit would create instructions for different art galleries. And I want you to interpret these in your own way. So there's not one right way to do this assignment. There is, countless infinite ways to interpret these instructions. So I don't expect anybody's to look exactly the same. It might look similar, but no one should look exactly the same. So before beginning, remember, again, there is no right or wrong way to interpret the instructions. And I do encourage you to think outside of the box. Some instructions are intentionally sort of vague so that you will use divergent thinking. So, we went over active seeing and looking last week. So, go into your active seeing brain for this assignment. I won't go through all the instructions, but you can kind of read through them as I'm talking and see kind of what they're going to look like. And I think that there is a couple of spots that do say like color, but it's only like color if you wish. I've got it right here where it says color if you wish. And then I do have this instruction here that might be a little bit weird. It says darken or color 3 shapes. So by that, I just simply mean if you don't have any color like available to you, just shade it in all the way, just like, make it dark with your pencil or with your pen. Or if you have color, you could use color as well. And then this is with all of our discussion assignments, I do have you write like a reflection is what I'll call it, to kind of sum up your drawing and give us like an insight to it. So you'll need to describe your work using art vocabulary, briefly describe the different qualities that lines in your finished drawings possess, and be sure to use at least 2 vocabulary words from lesson 3 elements of design in the line lesson. And then this is a discussion, and all discussions, no matter what, do require you to respond to a classmate. Sometimes I have you respond to 2 classmates, 3 classmates, and sometimes I'll have you do one that's like a little bit more thorough, but it's just to 1 classmate. And this is one of those examples of this time. You'll need to post your work to the discussion board by creating a thread and respond to a classmate by identifying and correctly utilizing at least 2 vocabulary terms. So not only do you need to, in your reflection, which is what I'm going to call task 4, is like writing a reflection on your work, use 2 vocabulary words, but also in your reply to another student, you'll need to use 2 vocabulary words as well. I don't want you to just write like, I like this, it looks good, blah, blah, blah. Talk about what it is in the piece that you like, or what is being used, or what you feel like doesn't work well. It's up to you. However you want to respond is totally fine. But that's our whole assignment for the line drawing discussion. And that's our biggest assignment for really our only assignment other than the ed puzzles for this week. And then let's see here. Next, we are going to move on to, I'm going to just briefly talk about the art analysis as well, just so we can kind of like get to going on that. But it looks like it's not even available for you guys, so I'm not super concerned with it. I just want to let you view it on here to kind of get you thinking about what it's going to look like. So our project 1 outline is in anticipation for project 1, which will be due in a couple of weeks. You don't need to worry too much about that one right now, but essentially what we're doing for project 1 outline and for project 1 in general, it's just like a larger, more extensive version of our active seeing assignment that we did over the weekend. So you've already done that. You've already contributed to that. The only thing that's in addition to that is that we are using our elements of art and our principles of design, which will come after this in lessons 6 and 7. So for project 1, this is really the only thing I would think about looking at right now. You do have to choose an artwork that is not one that you have already selected or plan to use in the future. You can start looking on Google Art and Culture if you'd like to, or if you already have one in mind that you want to talk about, but just realize that this project does need a lot of information on this artwork. And so if it's something that you can't find a lot of research about, I would maybe suggest using something else for this assignment. You also must stick with the artwork that you choose for the full time on this assignment. So once you create your outline on a artwork, you have to use that for your final and project 1 as well. So I'm not going to go into too much detail, like I said, but just to get you thinking about it, project 1 is a paper, and the outline is like just preparing and gathering information for that paper. So maybe be thinking about the artwork that you want to choose and that you're going to be focusing on for a while. And then we'll get to the outline next week, where we'll talk about identifying different things in the artwork and just sort of like creating a good like instructional blueprint for what your paper is going to look like. In addition to that, I don't think that we have anything else that we need to really cover. Just a reminder, the ed puzzles should be correct now, but if for some reason you're not able to view those, or if there's any point in the semester where the ed puzzles are not available, or there's something that is supposed to be up but it's not, please don't assume that I already know, because I very well may not know that it's not available to you guys. So I really appreciate if you reach out to me just as soon as you notice that, and just say like, hey, this is not available, or this is not up. Can you check on that? And I will, get on it as quickly as I can. But a lot of the times, especially this semester, it seems like there's just been a lot of changes. So sometimes I don't like fully save things, or I don't mean to, not configure things the correct way. So yeah, just make me aware of that. And I really appreciate it if you already did make me aware of that this morning. Also, one more thing. I talked about this last week, but I just want to remind you guys again, we do have an extra credit assignment already posted here for you. Basically, I'll have several of these throughout the semester, and you might not feel like you need it right now, but it will help you down the line if you want me to like hold on to the points that you get for the extra credit and then apply it to something later. I'm more than happy to do that. So essentially, though, the extra credit opportunities is just going to visit one of the Gaston College art galleries when they have a new exhibition going on. Each exhibit is only good for one extra credit opportunity. So you can't go to this, for example, you can't go to the Portia York exhibit Insatiable Fibers twice and send me 2 pictures and then get double extra credit. You only have like one time that you can do that. The exhibit is going on from January 9th to February 10th. So you do have some time left to go if you would like to. And there's no paper, there's nothing that you really have to do. All you have to do is send me a selfie of you in the gallery. Make sure that it is clear that you are in the gallery and that you are in the portrait as well. And that's all you need to do. And just email that to me, and that you will receive 20 points of extra credit to your lowest assignment. So for example, if you have a 60 on an assignment and that's your lowest grade, I'll bump it up to an 80 if you go to the exhibit and send me the photo. Reminders, if you go with someone else from the class, or like if you're both going like just together, you both need to email me. You can take a picture and you're both in it, but not just one of you needs to email it to me. You both need to email me the same picture so that I'm sure that it goes to both people. And again, realize we do not have a lot of assignments so far. I haven't even graded your assignments from over the weekend yet, so it might not seem like you need extra credit, but if you feel like you might want it in the future, then this is a good thing to do in anticipation for that. And I can just hold the points for you and apply it to something later on down the road. I think that's mostly it for this week. I don't have a whole lot more that we need to go over. All we need to do this week is the line drawing discussion and the ed puzzle videos. And then maybe start thinking about your project 1 artwork that you want to choose. And remember not to choose one that you've already done. And then as always, please try not to choose something like Starry Night that we know already like a lot about. We get a lot of Starry Night papers, especially for project 1. So I've kind of like banned that from being a selection that you have chosen. Also, if you have an idea of one that you want to do, but you're not sure if it will be a good one, or if you just want a second opinion on it, just email it to me and I can, kind of give you some feedback on it and, just answer any questions you might have. So if there's no other questions or anything, I think that we are totally good for this week. Andrew, if you have any questions or anything, I'm here for you. And we can step off the live meeting and go to a different meeting if you need to talk during, this is kind of my office hours also. So anytime you need to talk during this, we can do that as well. But otherwise, you guys are good to go. And I wish you the best of luck for this week. All right. I'm going to hop off, Andrew, if you're good. Everything looked good though. All righty.